So for me, guys, there was probably 2 to 3 kind of key struggles that I was having before deciding to start working with Ross. So the first one was really all around kind of flexibility, around kind of training and nutrition. I was always very, very regimented. I would say very strict. And not really being able to kind of, enjoy a lot of things around eating certain foods, going out for meals, just generally having that healthy balance between, training, nutrition, and just having a good social life. I would always kind of prioritize, what I ate, kind of training at really the sacrifice of everything else, which, starts to have a negative impact in, a lot of other areas in your life. I'd kind of been training for 10 years before deciding to start to work with Ross. And I could always lose weight quite easily. I really struggled to get to a level of, get to really low levels of body fat, getting quite lean. And I think that, one of the biggest struggles I had was, after kind of 12, 16, 20 weeks of dieting and losing a lot of body fat, I used to always pile that back on, so I never really had any idea around reverse dieting, any proper exit strategies, and that relationship with food was kind of very restrictive. And then at the end point it was just eat everything in sight. So the psychological kind of relationship with food wasn't where it needed to be. They were kind of really the main struggles that I had to deal with before working with Ross. So for me, the coaching experience was and is still to this day a great experience. It's been very structured. Ross and the Better Body guys have very good systems and processes in place that they really make everything very simple to execute and very easy to understand. Everything is very tailored to the individual. You see a lot of programs off the internet that seem very cheap, but are literally just a copy paste from such a generic program, which you don't really learn and get educated on the kind of the habits and the routines that you can kind of take away and run for the rest of your life in the future. So I would say it's very educational. You really learn the what and the why behind all of the things that you need to execute on when it comes to training, when it comes to diet, why you would eat certain foods, nutrition, exercise selection, recovery, all of the biofeedback. The amount of things that I've learned personally have been great, and I know I've got the habits now that I that will last a lifetime, and that in the future I'll be able to continue those and be able to really live that kind of that healthy lifestyle between training, nutrition, and just being able to kind of enjoy myself by sticking to those principles that I've learned from Ross. Overall, Ross, like I said, he's a great guy. Our relationship, our coaching relationship has been fantastic. And that's really developed into a great friendship over time. Me and Ross have been working together now for around 18 months. During that time, there's been some great results for me. So we've kind of been through, I would say, like 2 rounds of dieting, building back up, dieting again for a recent photo shoot that Ross got me ready for. So I started at around 80 kilos body weight and kind of finished up around 68. So 12 kilos drop. Second time around, just generally feeling a lot more healthier, a lot stronger. There's been great performance improvements in the gym. When I very first started, I thought I knew how to train. I thought I could do quite difficult exercise as well, but little did I know that the execution that I had was quite poor and quite unsafe and stable. The general kind of notion around really being able to execute exercises correctly, but really kind of bringing the intensity to those training sessions. It's kind of taken me 10 years to learn that, but I've learned so much around really how to be able to train properly now with Ross. And I think one of the key things for me is around discipline. It's taken me so long to actually be able to kind of achieve the lifelong goal I had of getting really lean and getting the abs out. But I think that discipline has so many kind of other benefits into other areas of your life. So for me, the results have been great, both physically and mentally. I would say it was kind of the best decision that I ever made. I was training for a long time, for many years before deciding to kind of reach out to Ross. And Ross was ultimately the first coach that I ever had. And before kind of working together, I used to think, I know how to train. I know a lot about diet and exercise, and I can train with intensity, but I was just completely wrong. You don't know what you don't know, and ultimately, even from session one, I kind of realized straight away how I needed to start training, and just execution, and the understanding around kind of biomechanics and recovery, understanding when to push through different phases. It's just been so educational, both on the diet and the nutrition side of things. And I know Ross is constantly striving, always educating himself further in new areas. You really get a premium service. They have the systems and the processes in place to make everything very smooth. Communication's been always great. Ross is always there at the end of the phone if you need him at any time of the day. The check-ins are always very informative, and he's always ultimately going above and beyond for his clients. For me, when I started 18 months ago, I was kind of quite overweight, and the goal of getting lean and getting the abs out and getting in great condition can seem impossible at the start point. But Ross has a very structured process and roadmap, and will ultimately kind of break everything down into smaller, more manageable goals for you, into smaller phases, which ultimately then, if you're consistent, you have that discipline, those small wins, over every day, every week, every month, they soon start to build up. And like I said, every step of the way, Ross is always there, being very supportive and kind of explaining, every step of the way. So for me, guys, it's been, the best decision that I've ever made, and I would really recommend it to anyone who's thinking of giving it a try.